Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into the story of one of the world's most resilient and, frankly, unusual survivors. We're talking about a creature that somehow managed to survive ancient geological eras, completely rewrote the avian rulebook, and became the beloved namesake for an entire nation. Yep, today we're exploring the absolutely fascinating world of the kiwi. You know, there's this quote from our sources that I absolutely love, and it perfectly captures the delightful absurdity of the kiwi. It's an animal that kind of looks like a cross between a mammal and a bird, just stumbling through the dark forest floor. And yet humanity took one look at this incredibly odd, fuzzy little creature and decided, yep, that is an absolute masterpiece of nature. A rare, correct decision by humanity, honestly. Okay, so here's our game plan for today. We'll start by meeting the flightless knight, then we'll look at why it's the ultimate evolutionary oddity. After that, we'll explore their lifestyle, dive into what we're calling the giant egg miracle, and talk about the fight to protect this icon. We'll wrap it all up with some rapid-fire Kiwi FAQs. Let's get right into it. All right, Section 1. Meet the flightless knight, New Zealand's national symbol. Or starting with a bird so iconic that it literally became the namesake for the people of New Zealand. The kiwi is way more than just an animal. It's a profound national symbol found on everything from coins to military insignia. And as you can see here, their isolation is just brilliant. The kiwi is entirely endemic to New Zealand's forests and scrublands. You won't find them anywhere else in the wild. They belong to the genus Apteryx, which is part of a group called ratites. That group actually includes massive birds like ostriches and emus. But unlike those giant cousins, the kiwi is this wonderful evolutionary oddity, shaped by millions of years living completely alone on an island with zero land mammals. Which brings us to Section 2, the ultimate evolutionary oddity, a bird that acts like a mammal. The crucial thing to understand here is that this bird basically threw the standard bird rulebook completely out the window. Because there were no ground-dwelling mammals in New Zealand for millions of years, the kiwi actually evolved to fill that exact ecological niche. I mean, just look at these fascinating details. Instead of smooth flight feathers, kiwis have this shaggy, almost hair-like plumage. Why? Because their feathers actually lack the barbules that normally zip bird feathers together. Plus, they have whiskers at the base of their beak, kind of like a cat, to help them navigate in the dark. Their wings are essentially useless, just these hidden vestigial nubs about 3 centimeters long. And beneath all of that, they have heavy, marrow-filled bones, just like a mammal, instead of the hollow bones you'd see in typical flying birds. When you compare them to typical birds, the contrast is staggering. Most birds are active during the day, and, well, they fly. Kiwis are strictly nocturnal and totally ground-bound. But okay, my absolute favorite detail has to be their sense of smell. Kiwis are literally the only birds in the entire world with nostrils placed at the very tip of their beak. They just plunge their beaks deep into the soft soil to sniff out earthworms, beetles, and larvae. It's so weird, but so cool. Section 3. Lifestyle of the forest knight, nocturnal and territorial. Now, despite their cute, fuzzy appearance, you absolutely do not want to mess with a kiwi's home. These are tough, rugged little survivors. They take their territory very seriously and can be surprisingly aggressive. Take a look at those legs. They are incredibly strong. In fact, a kiwi's legs make up about 30% of its total body weight. They will happily use those powerful legs and sharp claws to kick and defend their patch of forest from any intruders. They're little fighters. But there is a softer side to our forest knight. They are fiercely loyal. Most species of kiwi are strictly monogamous, and they frequently pair up for life. They share burrows and actually communicate with each other through the pitch-black forest using a series of loud whistles, grunts, and snorts. Sharing a burrow for a 20-year romance in the wild, that is truly something special. Moving on to Section 4, the giant egg miracle, nature's extreme investment. Okay, this is the absolute most mind-boggling fact about kiwi biology. If you thought the whiskers or the nostrils were weird, just wait until you see how they reproduce. Get this, the kiwi lays an egg that can reach up to 20% of the mother's entire body weight. To put that astronomical number into perspective, that is basically the equivalent of a human mother giving birth to a 4-year-old child. Yeah, it holds the world record for the largest egg relative to body size of any bird on the planet. So why on earth do they do this? Well, it's all about the yolk. When we look at the breakdown, a kiwi egg is a staggering 65% yolk. Most other bird eggs sit around 35 to 40%. This massive energy store means that during the 70 to 85 days of incubation, which by the way is mostly done by the males, the chick gets so many nutrients that it hatches fully feathered and almost entirely independent right out of the shell. It's a huge upfront investment for an easier childhood. Section 5. Protecting New Zealand's icon, the conservation battle. Tragically, surviving isolated geological eras was kind of a breeze compared to surviving modern human civilization. When humans arrived in New Zealand, the Kiwis' world was flipped entirely upside down. Because they evolved from millions of years without ground predators, they had exactly zero natural defenses against what humans brought with them. We introduced vicious predators to the island, like stoats, dogs, and feral cats. Virtually overnight, these ground-dwelling, strong-smelling birds and their tiny chicks went from being the absolute kings of the forest floor to highly vulnerable targets. The crucial takeaway here is that human intervention broke this ecosystem, and now we carry the responsibility to fix it. And the conservation battle is intense right now. Kiwis are strictly legally protected, and New Zealand has set up some incredible predator-free sanctuaries. They even run an amazing program called Operation Nest Egg, where eggs are taken from the wild, hatched in absolute safety, and the chicks are raised until they're big enough to physically fight off a stoat before being released back into the wild. It's pretty inspiring. All right, Section 6. Kiwi Bird FAQs, Rapid-Fire Facts. Let's wrap up this explainer by tackling 4 of the most frequently asked questions about this species. These details really drive home just how uniquely weird the kiwi truly is. First up, a question of ancestry. Since the massive extinct moa also lived in New Zealand and was a flightless rat-type, you'd naturally think they were close cousins, right? Well, surprisingly, no. DNA evidence completely upended that assumption. It reveals that the kiwi's closest evolutionary cousin is actually the massive extinct elephant bird of Madagascar. This means their ancient lineage separated millions of years ago, highlighting an incredibly complex journey across shifting ancient continents. Mind-blowing, right? Next question. What exactly is going on with their internal thermometer? Most birds run pretty hot, but not the kiwi. A kiwi's resting body temperature sits right around 38 degrees Celsius, which is noticeably lower than your typical flying bird. And honestly, this lower temperature is just one more bizarre mammal-like adaptation in their biology that makes them so entirely unique in the avian world. Question 3. Is kiwi just a single type of bird, or is there more to the family tree? There are actually 5 distinct recognized species. You've got the North Island brown, the great spotted, the little spotted, the rowi, and the tacoega. And unfortunately, as you can see, their conservation statuses currently range from at-risk all the way to critically endangered, depending on the subspecies. Which brings us to our final and definitely most important question. We introduced the predators that decimated their ranks, but are we capable of turning the tide? The kiwi survived millions of years of shifting Earth and changing climates, but its absolute greatest test is the modern era. Will our sanctuaries and nest egg programs be enough to ensure this magnificent, absurd, beautiful oddity of nature continues to roam the forest floor? Or will the flightless night become just another myth? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep staying curious.